Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwan, and today we're going to be talking about the Horus Heresy as we get into the compliance of Caldera. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. If you have any suggestions, please comment down below. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the compliance of Caldera. The Compliance of Caldera was an unusual campaign of the Great Crusade that involved bringing the world of Ibsen into imperial compliance. This world had been discovered by the Iron Hand's 154th Expeditionary Fleet, led by the Primarch Ferris himself. Upon closer inspection, the Iron Hands realized that this world was unusual as it was a rare example of Eldar and human coexistence. Upon further inspection, it was discovered that these humans were in fact descendants of the Salamander's homeworld of Nocturne, who had been liberated from the Dark Eldar captivity by their craftworld kin. The Salamander's Legion, led by the Primarch Vulcan, were joined by the Death Guard and the Iron Hands Legion, both led by their own respective Primarchs and committed to this compliance action. The world was undeveloped and largely inhospitable to human life, but it possessed valuable mineral deposits. However, the Imperial forces faced stiff resistance for control of the planet from the Eldar, who had placed a garrison upon Ibsen. The Eldar forces included seers, warlocks, and other combat psykers. However, they couldn't have expected to defeat one legion of Astartes, let alone 3. The mystery deepened when the semi-feral primitive human tribes inhabiting the planet seemed more sympathetic to the Eldar, or at the very least, not welcoming to their human liberators. The Salamanders and their Imperial support defeated the Eldari relatively easily as expected. After the conquest, the Salamanders learned that the Eldari had been defending a network of menhirs, which served as a psychic node and fed into a giant arc, where the final and most brutal confrontation between the Astartes and the xenos had taken place. The arc itself had been located thanks to a mysterious remembrancer attached to the Salamander's Legion, with whom Vulcan had an unsettling conversation before the battle. After the slaughter ended, Vulcan saw the remembrancer loitering by the ark and then suddenly disappear. Following him, Vulcan and his elite pyre guard descended into the chamber beneath it and through a portal at its base. There they found a crude warding ceremony taking place, conducted by the primitive human tribe priests who were ready to sacrifice an ancient Dark Eldar witch. Finally, Vulcan realized the truth. The ark was in reality a webway portal. Vulcan had seen a gate like this before in his Nocturnian youth, when the Dark Eldar repeatedly utilized such a portal to raid and pillage his planet. The Eldar had taken control of the portal by defeating their dark cousins, and in the process had freed the indigenous human population of Ibsen from the horrors of the Dark Eldar raids. The Eldari had been seen by the natives as liberators. Terrified by the defeat of the liberators at the hands of the Imperium, the natives had sought to sacrifice this Dark Eldar captive to ward off the inevitable return of her race. And the mysterious remembrancer, who was nowhere to be seen, had actually been the Emperor in disguise, who had had great interest in this particular part of the mission, since he had ordered so many reinforcements committed to it. In the meantime, the Iron Hands Legion was charged with bringing the desert region of the planet into Imperial compliance, but the campaign did not bode well for the Imperial forces, as they were hindered by the inhospitable terrain and the fluid battle tactics of the xenos that took a savage toll on Ferris forces, placing him well behind schedule and purging the world. Unbeknownst to Ferris 2 Eldar discussed his fate. One of them decided to intervene to ensure that Ferris walked along the most positive of the 2 paths leading to his future. The other Eldar warned against such interference, reminding his companion that a stone cannot bend, it could only break. The Iron Hands pushed on deep into the desert and arrived at a suspicious valley. For reasons that he could not explain, the Primarch felt that this area was important somehow, but he was loath to investigate it further without a scout force. Unwilling to wait for Imperial support, the Primarch ordered the Iron Hands to descend into the valley, and as soon as the bulk of the force reached the floor of the valley, a mysterious darkness engulfed them, followed by severe weather. Eldar warriors laid in wait, and they quickly ambushed the disoriented Legionnaire warriors in close-quarter battle. They also employed a mysterious weapon that overrode the Iron Hands' bionics, blinding those with augmetic eyes and overriding and controlling bionic hands that turned their weapons upon their fellow battle brothers or themselves. The Iron Hand's assault force was only saved by the timely arrival of the rearguard force, who took out the Eldari warlocks responsible for the psychic attack. The Eldar were forced to retreat, leaving the Iron Hands to recover, but things soon took a dramatic turn when it was noticed that Ferris was missing. Ferris found himself within a cavern where he was assaulted by a barrage of visions and perceptions of death of his legion, his Astartes, and even himself. He also saw the metaphorical representation of his fellow Primarch brothers and was perplexed by feelings of betrayal that were created when he gazed upon a statue of his closest brother, Fulgrim. During this ordeal, Ferris felt that he was being pursued by a malevolent serpentine entity. Irritated by such sorcerous parlor tricks, the Primarch pressed onward and explored the cavern further. Within the cavernous depths, Ferris continued onward until he was suddenly attacked by a serpentine creature that had been following him all along. The massive silver creature proved to be a vicious and deadly foe and nearly slew the Primarch several times. During the ensuing battle, the Primarch was distracted by a sense of deja vu and a vague sense of prophetic visions concerning the word Angel Exterminatus, which appeared in his mind over and over again. Concocting a counterattack against the massive creature, Ferris was inspired by the memory of his brother Vulcan and managed to wound the serpent, forcing it to retreat. Elsewhere, the two Eldar responsible for sharing these visions with Ferris lamented for allowing an aspect of chaos to encroach into their domain, where they kidnapped the Primarch. Ferris continued on his strange psychic journey, eventually reaching a bizarrely constructed and ancient throne with a rotting corpse sitting upon it. Coiled around it was the great serpent he had encountered earlier. The Iron Hand's Primarch came to believe that this must be the spirit of Azernoth, the dreaded Worm of Medusa that he had slain long ago. Wrestling with this massive creature, he was shocked by its sudden transformation as it shapeshifted into the all-too-familiar form of Fulgrim, which informed the Primarch that he is not a Xenos. With extreme anger, Ferris slew the corrupted half-Primarch, half-serpentine beast before tearing the corpse king from its throne and opening a concealed doorway behind it. The Primarch then confronted his Eldari kidnappers and demanded his release, brushing aside the claims that they were merely trying to forewarn him against a likely future. Frightened for their lives in the face of an enraged human demigod, the Eldar granted the Primarch his leave. Eventually, Ferris re-emerged on the planet's surface and rejoined his warriors in assaulting the Eldar forces. When asked about his recent whereabouts, the Primarch refused to answer questions about his recent experiences, claiming that nothing of importance had occurred. In response to vox hails from his brother Vulcan, Ferris then led his Iron Hands into the jungle region of the planet. In another place entirely, the two Eldar soaked in their failures, but took solace in knowing that even if the Primarch, known as the Gorgon, should fall, there would still be another that would suit their purpose. Eventually, Vulcan ordered Ibsen and its xeno-corrupted population cleansed by flame. He renamed the scoured, nocturne-like dead world that remained Caldera. The world was now ready to receive new human colonists and to be exploited for the benefit of the Imperium. And those were 40 facts on the compliance of Caldera. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it showcases or answers the question of what the Xenos were doing during the Horus Heresy. I know we get that asked a lot, and the answer is they were kind of doing what they were doing now. They were just more specific towards whatever faction was present within the Horus Heresy. So the Eldar were still trying to use their foresight and their knowledge of the future to twist things in their favor, because at the end of the day they're trying to get rid of chaos as much as the Imperium. The Orcs were actually reeling back from their huge defeat at Olonor, or the Olonor Crusade, but they were still out there attacking and causing ruckus, I guess, during the Horus Heresy. And then obviously the other Xeno races weren't as big or as major players. The Tau didn't really exist. The Tyranids kind of didn't exist either. So it's just kind of and obviously the Necrons were still asleep for the most part. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have suggestions for any other topics, let me know what they are in the comment section below. And thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first. In